Now let's talk about the timeline, which is one of the most important parts in the edit page. So how do you use timeline and how do you import things on the timeline? So say for example, if we go to Sony Vlog and let's just drag this clip. So how do you import things on timeline? You just press it, drag it on the timeline. So yeah, here is the clip. And as I import the clip on the timeline, the playback goes here. And you see here that the playback is showing the video from timeline. And if you just scroll, you can see that you can change the play duration. If I just go here, it goes here. And you can see that there are two blocks. The blue block is for the video, and the green block, which has some waveforms, is for the audio. And as I go, to the beginning, and if I press spacebar, which is play, or you can also play from here.
And now let's start the most beautiful hike in Switzerland.
Yeah. So yeah, that's just the playback, and then the video stops. But if I would have started here, let's say if I would have, so you can just drag and drop the clips like that. There's some black screen.
And now let's start the most beautiful hike in Switzerland.
And then the video starts. If I would have left this black screen here, and if I would have just do quick export, then in the final export, there would be a black screen in the beginning, and then there would be a video. So whatever is on the timeline, that's how the final video would be once you export it. So yeah, that's why timeline is really important. So let's just leave the clip here, and now let's show you a little bit about what the timeline is about. Like what are the things around the timeline. So if I go here on the left side, timeline view option. So here you can make some change in the settings, and that would help you to view the timeline more clearly. So if I go here, display stack timeline. So if I do that, and if you have multiple timelines, then you can just see timelines here. For example, I have to also show you one more thing. So as I just drag the clip here, the timeline started. We never made the timeline by ourselves. So I grabbed the clip from this folder, Sony Vlog, yeah? So that's what DaVinci always also does, is that it would make the timeline already in this folder. But in my opinion, it should be in the master. So what I would do is that I would go to Sony Vlog, I would just drag this timeline out here. So you see, now the timeline is here, but I want all the timelines in a folder. So what I'm gonna do, new bin. So I would just do timelines, and then I would just drag this timeline here. And then we can have multiple timelines. So if I wanna rename it, so let's do test 1, you can do everything. So if you do test 1, then the name here also changes, and then you have timeline here. And what we can also do is that if I just right click, and if I do duplicate timeline, then I have the timeline test copy. So here I would tell you what is the importance of duplicating timeline later. But yeah, you can just make multiple timelines, and they all would have the same folders, how you have organized. Let's go to test 1. And now that if we have two timelines here in this entire project, you have two timelines here. And that is really handy. Later, I will tell you why is it really handy. So you have different timelines, but for now, we don't really need it, the stack timeline option, because it's also taking a little bit of space here. And space is really important because you want to watch the video here, you want to put all the things here and still see everything clearly. So let's just disable it. And then display subtitle tracks, you should turn it on. Display audio waveforms. So you see these waveforms, they are called audio waveforms, obviously. So if you just unclick it, then you have just this green block. I think it's really important because a lot of cuts we do is according to the waveform. I'll show you later. And then thumbnail view. So thumbnail view is that the view of the video on the timeline. That's also a really cool part about DaVinci. So now I don't have any thumbnail view, but if I go thumbnail, and if I go make this track a little bit bigger, so you see, you can just drag and drop the size of the track, you go up. So if I drag and drop, if I drag it a little bit bigger, then you can actually see what footage, like the thumbnail of this video clip. So if you have multiple clips, you can already know that in that little blue box what clip is there, because of course you cannot remember the file name for each clip. That's why it's really important to have the thumbnail view, and if you do none, then it's just a big blue block. So yeah, I do thumbnail, and then viewer background I would do to checkboard. I'll explain you later what it means. And then fixed playhead, I don't touch it. Display non-reflective waveform. So reflective waveform, non-reflective is like this, so it's like just that, and then you see the waveforms. But I don't know, I just like it, the reflective, so it's like there's waveforms all together, so I'm used to it, so I'll just cancel it. And then yeah, display waveform border. If you wanna see the border of the waveform, you can display that as well. I think it looks a bit ugly, so I wouldn't do it. And here you can change the height of the video track, what I just did with one scroll. So yeah, you can change the height of this is really handy when you really want to see this little details in the audio, so then it's really handy. So I would just keep it here. And there are some shortcuts which I would explain you later, with which you can just do these things without even going here, so don't worry about that. And then here we have video 1. So there are different tracks. The first track is video 1. You can also rename it, just keep it. If I do say main, then it's main, and then audio track, you can also rename it. So these are the main video, and then main audio. If I go here, disable video track, then the video track is disabled. And that is really handy. Later, I'll tell you later why is it handy. Same with the audio track. If you want to lock the track, so if I lock it, then I cannot move it. So even if I press it, I cannot move that. And that's also really handy if you have edited something, and if you're sure that you're not going to do any changes in the first track, then you can just lock it so that you're not sort of moving things by mistake. But we're not going to do that. You can do the same thing for audio. And you can also do solo. So what happens with solo is that if there are multiple music tracks, and if you just want to listen here, then you can press solo. Or if you want to mute the music track, you can press mute. So everything is just really straightforward. And then if we go here, there are a few tools that would be handy, which I'm going to talk later. But for now, the important tool to see here is the zoom in and zoom out tool. So if you just see this minus button, if I go, if I just press it, so you can see that the tracks, what we put, the video and audio track, they become a bit smaller. You can also make them bigger by zooming in, or you can also just drag this. Yeah, so that's how you can increase or reduce the size of the track. And there are three view options. So you can do custom zoom. This is the custom zoom, which is now how it is zoomed in. But if you go detail zoom, so it kind of zooms a little bit more, and here it gives more detailed view. But custom zoom is where if you have a really big timeline, and if all the things are stacked until here, the zoom level would be here. But anyways, I never use it. I have a lot of shortcuts, which I can show you later. And then here we have markers. So sometimes what I want to do is that if you want to put a marker here, that I have to make changes, or if I want to do something specific later, I can just put a marker here, and you can just drag the marker, and you can double click and rename the marker. So I just do rename. So you can rename the marker, change the color of the marker, And what you can also do is that you can put a marker on the clip. So if something is important is happening here, and if I have to put a transition, or if I have to put an effect, but I don't want to do it now, I want to do it later, then I can put the marker on the clip. So I select the clip, it's red now, and then I put the marker, and now the marker is on the clip. You don't see it clearly because they're both blue colors. I'll make it white, and now you see. So you see there's marker, and that's really handy because you can do marker, you can put notes, especially if someone else is editing your videos. You can put the marker notes, or also for yourself. So everywhere there's marker, you can just glance through it and you can see what is going on there. To delete it, I would just press delete button or backspace. So yeah, after the marker, you can also flag some clips. So if you want to flag it, I can just select them and just flag it. So you can also change the color. that later, like if you're not sure that you have to keep those clips in the software in the final edit, you can just flag it now and then rewatch them later and make up your mind that do you really want to put them in the final edit. And once you flag it here, then it's also flagged in the media bin. And then this is position lock. So if I want to just position lock the, these tracks all together, that position locks the track. And I would just disable it. So if I press it, you see the red button here, which is not really needed now. This is a link button. So if you do go link selected section, this is also really important. I think this would be already on in your software. So what happens is that if you see here in the clip, if I zoom in and if I change the size, you can also change the size of the track by pressing shift and scrolling the mouse. So I go like that, and then I go in audio and I scroll like that. So here you see this little link button. So which means that the video from this track is linked with the audio from this track. And if I disable the link and if I click on the video, only video is selected. But if I enable the link and if I click on the video and the audio clip which is linked to this video file, they both get selected. And that's really handy if you want to drag both video and audio together. Because if I unselect it, I have to drag them one by one. And you see that because they are linked with each other, if I go like that, then you can see that the video is playing 11 milliseconds before the audio plays, and you can see there is red mark. So sometimes if you're sort of moving things around and if the video and the audio they just move by mistake, you can see this red mark and you can drag them down as long as the red mark disappears. So you see now the audio plays a bit later, so you can just drag them like that. So yeah, that was a little bit of timeline in depth for you. In the next section, we're going to actually start to edit the clips. So here in this section, we're going to move forward and do some cutting and trimming in the clips, and then later we're going to add music, transitions, and all that sort of stuff. So let's watch this audio, and I also want to do something else. I'll just make it full screen. If you go here to mixer, I would just click that. So this bar comes here, and this bar is the audio bar. So let's just watch this clip once.
And now let's start the most beautiful hike in Switzerland.
Yeah. So you see that from the waveform, so if I just increase the size, shift and scroll up with the mouse, in the waveform you can see, that's why waveforms are really important in the audio track. You can see that the main dialogue is delivered from here to here, which also means that I only need that section of this entire clip, so I might have to delete the other part. How do you delete it? You see this tool here called blade. So I have chosen a shortcut C, but I think usually it's X or some other shortcut. So as soon as you just bring your mouse here, then you see what is the shortcut, and then you can press the same button. So I would just click here for the sake of this tutorial, and then the blade is selected. Earlier, you can see that the arrow was selected here, which was red. So whatever is selected, that would be red. And the shortcut to get the arrow back is V for me, but it can be different for you. But we're gonna talk about shortcuts later, and it's really interesting topic. So yeah, let's go cut this clip. So we're gonna choose the blade tool. So nothing changes here with the shape of the cursor, but as soon as I drag the cursor on the clip, then the arrow transforms into a blade. So if I want to just cut it, I can just move the red. So if I want to cut it, I can just one click here. And now you can see the separation between the part where my character is not talking and the part where the character is talking. I can do the same thing here because as from the waveform, I can see that there's no dialogue delivered, so that's unusable. And now what do? We go back to the arrow, which is here. You select this, and why is it selecting the audio and the video together is because our link channel is selected. So now what I would do is that as soon as this is selected, I would press backspace. The general setting is backspace, but if I press backspace in my computer, nothing happens because I have chosen the delete button from backspace to X, but your computer would be backspace. So I would press backspace in my computer X, and then I would go here, select this, and press delete as well. And now you can see that there's a little gap. So I would just drag the mouse and bring it here. But there's another way to cut or trim the clips. I'll just do Control Z, turn off the blade. What you can do here is that you see, or let's show you here. So you see, so if I go to the end of the clip, you can see the cursor changing into some other shape. I don't know how to describe the shape, but if I just, bring it like this, then the clip is deleted. And same here, if I go to the end, go here, the clip is deleted. And now I would just drag it to the front of the timeline and make sure that there's no black areas
And
here. So let's watch it again.
And now let's start the most beautiful hike in Switzerland.
So that was one way to cut and trim the clips and put the desired part in the timeline. There's another way. So let's just delete it. So I would just select this and press delete button, which is backspace in your case. I would go to the media bin. So here the media bin is playing from the video itself. It's not playing from the timeline. You can see here is the name of the video clip. So let's watch it again.
And now let's start the most beautiful hike in Switzerland.
It's a little bit difficult here because now the audio track is not there, but in some clips, if it has nothing to do with the audio, you can use this method. So let's just assume that this clip didn't have any audio.
And now,
so from here, if I want the clip to be on my timeline from here, I would press I button, insert. So you see, just focus here, what happens. If I press I, then there's a little dot here, and this part looks like it's unselected, and this part looks like it's selected. So I'm pressing I. And as soon as she stops talking, I would press O. So yeah, there's I and O, and only this, you can already see that only this part of this entire clip is selected. And now what I can do, you can see here there's a little video icon and there's a little waveform icon. So if I just want the visuals from this clip, I can drag it on my timeline. So there might be a lot of times that you just want the visuals from the video, but we want the audio as well. So I would go again and drag the audio as well. But now you might think that, yeah, that's a bit tedious process. You have to drag the video and the audio. There's another way. I would double click on this clip. The clip is here. If I want to drag the entire clip, I would just drag the entire clip from the media bin to the timeline, and that would only drag the part where we put the input and the output point. So that's really cool. So then we barely have to cut or do anything in the software. Later on, I'm gonna show you how to use these techniques with shortcuts, but let's just stick to the basics first. So that was the first clip, yeah. So I want, you can see that I'm also zooming in, so I just zoom in, zoom out. So I want this clip to end here, so I can also just drag this like here, yeah. And now I want another clip. So let's go on the clip next to it. And if I go play, if you look at our bags, you might be thinking that we are going for an entire week of hiking. So as soon as I do entire week of hiking, if I want to end the video there, then I would just press O. So if I just laugh, I would just press O. And here I didn't need to put I, because if you press O, then the system assumes that everything before that should be usable. So then I can just drag this clip here. And you can see from the waveform that where I laughed, I want to cut the video before that. If you look at our bags, you might be thinking that we are going for an entire week of hiking. So here it looks like I'm doing a funny laugh. So here I can just I can just drag it like that. A week of hiking. So yeah, that's how you can cut and trim any clips in the timeline. And how this timeline works is that if I drag, say, just a video file, so if I go, maybe just scroll down, maybe just this, from this clip, if I just want the visuals, because I don't think there was any dialogue here. So if I just want the visual, of course, I'm going to drag the video clip, video icon. So I would go here. And now if I just put it on top of the first clip, So here another video track starts. So earlier there was no video track, and as soon as I dragged the clip, another video track started. And how these timelines work is that whatever track is on the top, that would be visible in the final video. So I can show you. Let's start from the beginning.
And now let's start the most beautiful hike in Switzerland.
If you look at our bags, you might be thinking, so if I just need this clip until here, I can, bring it like that. So whatever is on the top, if I have another clip, I just drag it here. That clip, I can just cut it. We're using shortcut. I'm going to show you later. So that clip is visible. And you see, just by putting 3 clips on top of each other, now I cannot really see what is going to come. If I put another clip, say here, then I cannot really see. So what I can do is that I can scroll it down, just hold it in the middle and scroll down. So now we have all the video tracks available. You see, we went to video 4, but the audio tracks are not available. So that's why I would press Shift, reduce the size of the audio, Shift, reduce the size of the video until I can see the little thumbnails. But if you have more video tracks, then you can increase the size of this whole timeline panel. But then at the same time, the main playback, that wouldn't be visible. So there's a little trade-off, and that's why I recommend people to at least edit on a 15 or a 16-inch laptop, or on a 27-inch monitor of your PC or Mac. So yeah, you can change the shape of everything. So here you can change the shape of the timeline. You can increase the size of this window. So yeah, everything is customizable in DaVinci Resolve. So I would just keep it here because for the sake of this project, I also want the things to look a little bit bigger. So now we are not putting any audio tracks yet. Yeah, I would just keep the same shape, and I would delete everything. So just select these video files and press delete, backspace. I would press X. So yeah, that's how it works. So say for example, this is the clip of, just us hiking. I would put all these clips, so don't worry about it. So if I just want the video to start from here, so I would press I, the input point, and the video to end here. I would press, because here I'm returning back, I would press O. And now if I want to drag the clip on the timeline, I can by mistake drag it here. Yeah, you see, so I can by mistake drag the clip on the video clips which were usable. So there's another way to drag the video clips. So just focus. So if I am dragging this to the viewer here, and if I go override, then it overrides. Yeah. If I go replace, then it replaces the clip. But if I go here, oh, it's not really working now, because now the clip is, so you see, if something is not working, so now I thought that why is my timeline not showing? Because now the video playhead is here. Yeah, we need the timeline playhead. So I would just click on the timeline, and you see the timeline name comes, test copy 1. So now let's just drag this clip here. And now here what you can do is, if you go insert, it just gets insert in between the clips. So the previous clip is there, and this new clip came in between the other clips which were already there. So what do we need to do now is that we just drag this video clip and put it append to end. And what this would do is that it would respectfully just go in the end of wherever this whole sequence was ending. Viking. So you see, that's also a way you can drag it. So if I want to drag more, you just drag it to here, append to the end, and things starts to come in the end. So there's also a lot of people, what also do is that they would first select in and out point of all the clips, and then later they would just drag directly here, and then things come on the timeline. So there are really multiple ways to edit and drag the things on the timeline. So yeah, that's like, you really have to find your own way to do all these things. So now we learned how to drag and drop things on the timeline, how to cut and trim the video clips and the audio clips. In the next section, I'm gonna teach you how to make things more easier, how to use shortcuts. So let's go. I have opened the same clip what we had before, and now we're going to edit with shortcuts because it's going to save your life, save so much time. You see this clip how it was. If I just select this and if I just press one button, it already deletes everything in front of it. If I go here, if I just select one button, it already deletes everything before it. How do I do it? Really big secret. Go here on the left side top hand corner, DaVinci Resolve, go to keyboard customization. So what DaVinci does is that it already has its own presets. They are like a mixture of 2-3 buttons every time, and one button is on the left hand side, one button is completely right hand side, so it doesn't make sense. So I have made my own preset, and that is of course available with this course. So I have put the preset link in the description, and you can load it. You can reload it, the preset. How do you load the same preset in your computer? It's really important because from now on, I'm going to be talking everything in that language of the preset, what I have said. So I have already my preset here, so DaVinci Resolve _Adi. You can do it too. How do you do it? Go click the 3 dots here, and then if you go import preset, click here. It would be a .txt text file. So you have to open it, and once you open it, press, I'm not going to do it because I've already done it. Once you press open, then that preset is loaded in your computer. And just to double check if it's loaded or not, if you click on A, it should say zoom out. If you click on S, it should say zoom in. And A and S is zoom out and zoom in for the timeline. For example, if I keep pressing A, it kind of zooms out. If I press S, it kind of zooms in. Yeah. And not the media pool. If I go keyboard customization, and how I trimmed the left hand side from my clip was by pressing Q. So if I press Q, that is trimming at the beginning of the clip. So trim start, and it would delete everything on the left side. If I press W, it would delete everything on the right side, which is the trim end. So let's make this clip bigger. If I go here, if I just keep the timeline scroller here, and if I press Q, it's going to delete everything on the left side. If I press W, it's going to delete everything towards the end. Same with any clip. If I just drag and drop, I want clips to be deleted from here, go Q, on the right side delete, go W. Saves so much time, right? Now I'll show you another coolest thing. So what happened with this clip was that I had to delete it. If I deleted it, it still needs to go in the beginning because there's a little black window here. So I want it to delete and go this way, move this way. Yeah, so I'm pressing Ctrl Z. How you can do it? Another method. If you go here, if you just keep the mouse here at this little arrow button, it's gonna show you trim edit mode, and the shortcut is B in our case. I'm not sure what is in DaVinci's case, so you can figure it out by scrolling if you haven't updated my preset, but really do update the preset. I would really recommend it. So trim edit mode, if I go just press B, now what happens is that if I just bring the cursor here, even if I move on the timeline, the cursor is gone. Remember this arrow was there? That arrow is gone. Now we have this weird brackets. And now if I press Q, it goes already to the front. And here, if we had another clip, for example, if we just had the arrow and if we would press W, there would be a little gap, right? And now if we are in the trim edit mode, I would just do B. So you see, as soon as I press B, now the cursor changes to the trim edit mode. And I have my timeline scroller here. And if I just press W now, it's deleting the part, but it's also bringing the following clip close to it. So then I don't have to drag the other clip and eliminate the black space. So that's so handy. It saves so much time. So yeah, these things you should be doing as well. So I showed you the Q and W, how to trim at the beginning, trim at the end. And the zoom in, zoom out was A and S. Yeah. And then remember I was telling you that how you can drag this clip here and then append at the end. I'll show you another easy way. So say, let's just go on this clip, yeah? There's just a clip with just no dialogue. So say in this clip, I want a section from here to here. So we had already a shortcut for in point, so I would just press I. So in point has already started. You can still move the in point if you haven't put at the right place by just dragging the dot, with the mouse. I would leave it here and I would go until this point and maybe press O. So that's the out point, right? So earlier I told you to drag here and then blah, blah. Now what you can do, by this thing selected, by this clip selected, it's selected, you can see the red border. By this clip selected, press U. So if I press U, it's doing the exact same thing as the append at the end. So you see, it saves so much time. So with every clip, I can just do in, out, and then U, it goes to the end. Every clip, I can do in, out, and U, it goes to the end. So even it doesn't matter where my cursor is, if I press U, it would just go to the end. So those are the few things what I use as a shortcut, and I have many shortcuts as well, which I'm gonna discuss in the future. So as we are editing all of this, I can also assume that some of you might not have that strong system, that strong computer or laptop. So how you can make DaVinci Resolve run faster and smoother? Let's go. So if you just go all the way up here, there is an option called playback. If I go on playback, just tick use optimize media if available, and then you go to proxy handling. Yeah. If I go to proxy handling, I have three options. Disable all proxies, which means that DaVinci wouldn't use any proxies. I would go prefer camera originals, which I have now. So if my computer is working fine, DaVinci would smartly prefer camera originals. But if my computer is really lagging and really slow, then I can just do prefer proxies. And then DaVinci already starts making proxies in the background. And yeah, I would be editing here with the proxy files. But when I export it, then I'm exporting the original file. So then the files are exported in really high quality. So that was one way. And you can also go here and you can change, the three options are here as well. So I had the HQ, which was camera originals, prefer proxy. Try this method and see if this is going to make things better. If not, then we have one more solution. Go to playback and then go to timeline playback resolution. So timeline resolution we already chose as high definition. You can make it to half. So what happens is, wait, I'm gonna show you here. So if I just zoom in, maybe here on the, yeah. Or wait, maybe on the face, yeah. If I go playback and if the timeline is full, the video looks a little bit sharp. It's still looking blurry because I've zoomed in so much, but this is the original resolution. But if I go playback half, the video looks a bit low res, And if I go quarter, then the video looks really bad. And if I just press Z or Z, then the video resumes to the normal screen. So you see, that's also another shortcut. But if I play now,
Switzerland.
if you look at our bags, of course, the video is not looking good, but if your system is lagging, I would prefer to choose this option or try between the quarterly and half. Whatever works, just use that. And that would drastically change the speed of your playback. But when you're exporting it, then you would be exporting the original files. So don't worry that your export would be like that. That's not the case. Just that your playback on the timeline, that would be like that. So I would go back to the normal settings because that's what's working for me now. I'm not really doing any crazy transitions and effects, but in future, in the coming sections, we would be doing that. So this was just a little heads up. So I would go here, prefer camera originals, and playback, I would just go timeline resolution full. And after the project is done, you can do delete render cache, you can do select or all unused. It doesn't matter because once your project is finished, it's all done. Yep. And render cache, you can also do smart, so that DaVinci would give you the best optimized speed. So let's go to timeline resolution full. So yeah, that was a quick break just to show you that how we can run DaVinci faster. And now let's move to the next one.